Okay, today's April 22nd, Saturday at 4:45 p.m. This video is about Rachel Danita Benfield from Alabama, okay? I want you to hear her testimony as she lost her job from being tortured with microwave energy weapons. She lost her job with the government contractor, okay, and still fighting for her life at this time. You will see her YouTube video, and also you will see her federal court case, okay? Let's go into her YouTube video.
Hello, I'm Rachel Benfield, and basically I just want to speak out and let everyone know a situation that's been ongoing for quite some time, since October of last year, that I've noticed. I am a targeted individual that is dealing with voice to skull. This is not another Myron May video. I'm not going to commit suicide. I want to speak out about being a targeted individual and what we can do to stop this sick crime that's going on in America today. That's a silent crime, and I feel like we need to step out. The more people that speak out about it, and the more people that have their voices heard, and the more people that don't give up and support each other, we're going to be able to be strong and make it through it. I've met some really amazing people that has helped me along in this struggle and this fight as far as being a targeted individual. It's not easy. I've lost friends. I lost my job. I lost a relationship. I've lost a lot of things. I have the good days and the bad days. My phone is hacked. This is a crime. It's a silent crime. I had no idea what this was until last year. And I just feel like we need more people to speak out about it. I watched many YouTube videos. I met some really wonderful people that's in this. And I want to say that the support from everybody that's going through this has been just amazing. This has not been easy. I found that I cry a lot. At 35 years old, you do not come down with a mental illness. That's what they want you to think. They want to isolate you. They want you to think that you're mentally ill. They want you to be destitute. They want to target you. This is a psychological warfare, and we need to speak out about it. Every time you get knocked down, get back up. I'm a Christian. I'm not going to commit suicide. That's not what I'm going to do. I want to be a voice to other people that is going through this, or is newly going through it and don't understand it, just like I did when I was going through it in the beginning. I had no idea what it was. The mind games, the getting hit with electromagnetic currents, and the hatefulness, and the gang stalking. These are people that I'm convinced that are not Christians. I don't understand it, probably never will. It's the most hateful, heinous crime that's being ignored. I think that there needs to be light shed on it. There are some protests coming up in October. I would like to see everybody that's a targeted individual to show, because we have a voice and it needs to be heard. There's a lot of scare tactics that's going to keep you from going. I've been told if I speak out, they will kill my son, or they will kill me. That's from the enemy. That's from the evil. That's from evil, and they're not going to stop me. So I want to get up and do something about it, be a voice, and not have another person drive to suicide over this whole thing. This is very evil. And I think in the target individual community, we should stand together and make this a known thing. Because people who are not going through it, they don't understand it. I didn't even understand it in the beginning myself, let alone someone that is going through it or not going through it. I don't know. We have to lift each other up in prayer and keep pushing forward and not let the enemy win. God bless.
Okay, that's Rachel Benfield. You can find her on her channel at Targeted Individual from Alabama. Okay, now we are I'm going to take you into her court case. Okay, I'm going to take you into a federal court case here in just a minute. Let me see if I can get in here because they had me blocked. But I want you to see her complaint. She filed a lawsuit. Okay, against her perpetrator, and so I want you to see inside her case that this is not fake. We are being targeted. And some people have access to America's war chest, okay? Some people have access to this war chest, okay? And being said that, you know, we have to take a stand on this. I don't even know if they're going to let me in there. They're not letting me in there. Let's see. They're blocking me getting into this court case because they don't want to. They're trying to. Not allow me to get in there, okay? Because I've got legit information. I got the evidence here, and that's why Apple's blocking me, along with the CIA, along with the FBI or the Secret Service. But they can't stand the facts. They can't stand the evidence, okay? So they're going to block me out and not show you the evidence. But I want you to see that all my legwork that I've done my job. I've done my job already. You know, my job is done. Okay, this is for the American people, okay? I filed a Supreme Court case. My court case was denied, okay? So, like, your job is to complete this, okay, and follow up. Let's take a look here. We're going to go into the Alabama. We're going to go into Alabama's court case here, okay? Northern Alabama. And we're going to look at her court case. We're going to take a look at her court case here, okay? Like I said, she's been targeted, okay? Take a look at her court case, okay? And here you go. Rachel Danita, okay? She's got 3 court cases right there, okay? 3 court cases filed, okay? Guys, you can't make this up, okay? There's her court case, okay? Let's go inside the court case here. Go to the docket reports. I'm going to take a look at her court case here. We're going to run a report. And here we are. There she is. Rachel Danita Benfield, okay? Look at her complaint. There she is. United States District Court, Northern District of Alabama. Rachel Danita versus Matthew Welsh. ACID contract. Ronnie Gray Craig, complaint, okay? Basic complaint, okay? Defendant, Jerome Miller. Patch analyst, Huntsville, Alabama. Craig Carnes, patch analyst, lead, okay? There it is. List of specific federal statutes, federal treaties, and provision to the United States. Electronic harassment to commit bodily injury or to threaten to, okay? Here is her federal court case, okay? It's happening to Americans all over the country, guys. I can't stress it enough, okay? All right? All right. There you go. All right, we're going to close that out now, okay? Now we're going to go into the actual conversation I had. Here we go. This is a recorded statement. We're going to go live into the recorded statement I had with her, okay? Recorded statement. Here we go.
Here I go. Okay, hold on. Okay, hello, who am I talking to?
You're speaking to Rachel Benfield.
Okay, and what state are you from, Rachel?
Alabama.
Okay. Okay, Rachel, today we're going to talk about, my name is George Benavides, by the way. I'm from New Braunfels. I support Targeted Justice, Inc. in a court case. And we're just talking to Rachel because Rachel's been a target for how many years, Rachel?
I would say, it was very in my face in 2016.
Okay.
But I was targeted a few years prior. I just was not aware. And I have friends that I went to Virginia College with, and a lady by the name, and she will be completely okay with me saying her name, who's also, she and I met at Virginia College in Huntsville. Her name is Melanie Musgrove, and she told me that all this is a mind hive. And basically what happens is these groups of people, and it's like two families, and they get their friends. And the person that got her involved in doing the mind hive is a man by the name James Matthew Johnson, who I worked with at Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville.
Okay. Let's stop there for just a minute. I want to know, talk about your employment. What was your expertise when you became targeted? What did you do? What did you work for? What company?
Okay.
But be careful because I don't want you to defame anybody. But if you want to speak about your employment and your profession, that's perfect.
Sure. Okay. No problem. Okay. So I first got hired with MCO Technology, which is, they contract out to different companies through Lockheed, through NASA, through different places. And they do a lot of Lockheed and a lot of NASA. Well, the first contract that I was on, I supported the Army Corps. I was a help desk employee. And I think that somehow it somewhat started there, but my life was fine. And that was in 2012.
Okay.
So, same boss. After I worked that job for about 7 months, they decided to, I don't know, end my job there. Well, the same boss, she calls me back because by this time I'm thinking, oh gosh, I need, when you lose a job, you just need one because you have responsibility. So I immediately get a job with Aflac and go through the whole training process, and I'm sitting thinking to myself, I do not really want to sell insurance, but it's something that maybe I can grow in because I'm a people person. I can really do this. I have great customer service skills. So I get a call from the same lady who tells me that they have an opening at Marshall Space Flight Center and asked if I would be interested. And I said, absolutely. I'd much rather work there at IMCO on the NASA contract than do insurance because I was looking at it from a standpoint of being a mom, having a son that I need to support he was school age at the time, and plus insurance. So I'm looking at the whole picture, like what's best for me overall. So I took her offer and was hired December the 7th, I know the date, 2013. So when I started in the Coastal Corporation building in Huntsville. Now, the room was basically a NASA room that NASA supported the employees in the room. Well, they said that NASA lost the bid to that room So our department had to move out to Redstone Arsenal into a building out there. We was in that building, I guess maybe a year, I think, roughly around that time. And then we move over to the building at Redstone Arsenal. Now, back before we moved to Redstone Arsenal, a man implanted me with another coworker that assisted. Now, there were some witnesses in the room that saw him putting it together. He had pulled up the tile on the floor in the Colsa building, and when you pull it up, it's a whole crawl space that you can step down in. That I would say if I stepped down in it, because I'm 5'2", that it would come up to my waist. So it's a lot of room underneath the flooring there. And he was setting the whole thing up. Well, within 2 to 3 days, another coworker who's an engineer comes up to this man and says, "What all is on Rachel's implant? Give me that information immediately." Well, the next thing that I know, some big bosses come in the building and another manager, and they had a talk with this guy that did this. Well, keep in mind, the man that assisted was a black male, and he's very religious, and said immediately that he does not want this in his body for religious purposes, and it was not something that our job required for us to have. It was not a requirement to get these RFID implants. So there was these documents that were made because there were management people got involved. Well, the lead of the department, his nephew and his cousin works there, and he had another cousin. So his other cousin and his wife work out there to, I guess, help sabotage data that are complaint, if you will. There are these complaints that people are making out there at Redstone Arsenal that apparently this other lady who's related to this man's accomplice, because if you ever were to look in the group picture that I posted, 2 of those men are very much aware, and then they go on to get their family members and a friend or 2, whatever they can come, whatever lie that they can come up with to tell people to say, "Oh, well, this is the NASA mind control project, and I'm a CIA," and then they'll have this thing where they will say, "Well, I'm working for this person and I cannot say who they are," which means it's not anyone but them. All this mess. Well, when our department goes over to the building 4629 at Redstone Arsenal, we met a lady who was the NASA executive who I met. She found out, and she immediately made them go get their operating systems so that she can go through their computers to see if there are programs still left over, and told them she's not having that there. They need to immediately go get their computer systems to get me out of the mind hive. Well, they did that. Now, mind you, I had not received not one documentation. And I think it's because the lead of the department has been doing a lot of shady things for many years with his brother, his nephew, his 2 daughters, and this other man that did the implant with his brother, his cousin, and his niece. So, I mean, when you think about that, that's a lot of people on one person for them to kind of carry around and send out all these information. So it does not take very many people to sit and destroy someone's life and cause them great misery. Well, because I'm born and I'm raised in North Alabama, my son's dad, he's a police officer. So he knows a lot of people. He was helping me in the beginning, but then he got an implant also. Now, keep in mind, I've been back and forth to the FBI office. I've already reported these individuals anyway. Then there was a manager in 4629 that walked up to the front of the building and just addressed this guy down. I mean, he told him up and down and said, "You put this program on Rachel. It's called a Walking Dead program. Why would you put this program on her?" Well, mind you, this whole time, I'm sitting there like a dumb duck because there was what they call another private implant already put in me, so that when someone mentions anything about implants or programs, I look like I don't hear them and that the information that they're telling me, I'm not receiving it. So they didn't just give me the one implant, they gave me another implant. So that way the so-called secret implant, they can still do the mind control. They can still kind of make me seem like, oh, you know, I'm not trustworthy. What I say is not true, or I'm crazy. Now, mind you, the people that's addressing these guys are management. So he immediately goes back to his desk, and this guy, he's over the ESD for NASA.
Wow.
And yes, and he tells me, he said, if you want to move, I've got an open seat in the back you can sit at. I just nicely smiled and declined. Why I declined, I will never know. Because I have people reaching out trying to help me. And it's just like I refused their help. Because they knew that these three men in the building were no good and up to no good and caused problems for people. They stick them in Mind Hive and give them programs. Well, then I find out from the man who's the lead of the department, his nephew says this guy goes to my house where my son's 12 years old riding his bike with his friend and tells this other, who's a black guy because my son is half black, he tells this other guy that my son is his grandson and that I will not allow him to connect with his grandson, my son, which I will say his name is Caleb Hightower. He's 19 now. So this man makes up this elaborate lie like he's related, or else this guy probably would not have helped him. Well, that guy also found out the truth and told me the truth because he and I already knew each other. We share mutual friends. So then I'm told that this nephew of this man in the building of 4629 also implanted my son. Now, all of this is done without consent from me and his dad. So they're criminals. They do these things where they like to give people programs and I'm finding more and more out as I go, and come to find out I've either worked with some of these people or went to Virginia College with them.
Wow.
So, yes. So I already know just about all of these people. Well, in a small town that I'm originally from called Moulton, Alabama. Okay. There's a girl that I grew up with in the same subdivision as me. She was in the Mind Hive. She works at the sheriff's office in Decatur. I called her back in October to talk to her about the situation. She had no clue what I was talking about. I immediately said, okay, transfer me over to the officer that's in charge so I can make a document. So she did. Well, she is related to the man that implanted me and his wife.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I've already tried to sue the company twice, and because they keep me so exhausted and run down, when I was making some sort of some kind of ground on this whole thing with getting in touch with people, that's when they started attacking me even more. They were even more aggressive.
Okay.
And it's because of the witnesses that can say, yes, Rachel got this implant because I helped remove the programs off of it when she got it. And this other individual that assisted, he made a report to management and got a lawyer to say he does not want an implant in his body because of religious purposes. So he made a complaint against the whole situation. So there's that paper trail.
Wow.
So
now, Rachel, I want to ask you real quick before we go on. You said you had filed a lawsuit. Do you know?
Yes,
when did you file a lawsuit? What day was it? What date? What
I
year?
have to go back in some paperwork, but I've done this twice. My last denial was last November.
November? What court were you in?
Huntsville, the Huntsville courthouse in Huntsville, Alabama.
Alabama? Is that a federal court or was it county court?
Oh God, I don't know if it's federal or not. I know that sounds ignorant of me, but I know the U.S. Marshals I know that I spoke to a U.S. Marshal there when it all first took place back in 2000.
So who did you actually sue?
Well, I was suing NASA.
NASA. Okay. So it's probably federal then. Okay. So you sued NASA. Anybody else?
I put the people's names down that are over the contract.
Okay. So you did file that, and that's in Alabama. Is there a federal court in Huntsville, Alabama?
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's a federal court judge that they can bring in to handle that.
What was your complaint? What did you talk about in that court case?
Well, because I've not been able to work, I don't have money to just hire a lawyer, so I went through free legal aid. And that's, when you do anything free, I'm telling you, they give you bukus of paperwork to fill out, right? So I'm filling out, I even wrote down the whole scenario. I wrote down the witnesses. I wrote down my boss's name. I wrote down detailed information about the RFID implant. I put that the RFID implant was implanted in not just myself, but other family members, and listed their names. I listed all the perpetrators' names. I filed it. It was denied. So I amended it. I went back, filed it again. It was denied.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So I'm sorry for interrupting you, but what I'm looking at, Rachel, is trying to analyze how many court cases have been filed in federal courts in the United States. This is perfectly fine, so that'll fit in. So what we're trying to do is kind of give a survey to the Judicial Committee of why these court cases have been processed in our courts and been denied due process of the law. That's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in complaining to the Judicial Committee, Federal Judicial Committee, of all the court cases that can identify all the targeting and torture against Americans and implantation against Americans. Okay? That's my complaint that I'm going to try to bring on here in the future. But I have to gather just about enough cases that will petition it on itself, on the prima facie of a case that'll petition itself on just negligence and denying due process of law. So my intention is to file on a due process claim on the prima facie of all the cases that have been denied.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what I'm interested in learning. That's what I'm trying to gather here. So how many court cases have you filed, Rachel?
Just two.
2 court cases. Okay. One in Alabama. Anywhere else?
They're both the Huntsville courthouse. No, that's it.
Okay. And what's your full legal name that you filed? What's the official name that you filed it in?
Rachel Danita Benfield.
Can you spell that?
Rachel.
Okay.
Middle DENITA last, Benfield.
Okay. And what, you said it was against NASA, anybody else? That you
I
can-
listed the people's names.
Okay, this is in 2007, correct?
No, this is in 2000 and hold on, what year? We're in 23. So, okay, so in 21, and then I have them somewhere. I have, I've got it all kept up somewhere.
I can pull it up with just your name. That's okay. That's no big deal. I can pull up your court cases that you filed. I have access to the federal court system. So what I want to talk about, you said you were targeted. What was the specific year? How long you were being targeted? Can you say how many years, basically? Kind of.
I think since 2013.
Okay, since 2013. Okay.
I think when I stepped on that second job contract, it ruined my life. They tortured me. I think they were trying to kill me.
Okay. How many jobs have you lost since then?
Oh, dear God. Okay. I lost the job at Hexagon after that. That's one. Let's see. I had a job at GE that I lost because they wouldn't leave me alone. I had a job at a furniture store. I had a job at a grocery store. I had a job at a medical supply place where that was doing logistics. I lost that job. I lost a job with Hobby Lobby. I lost a job, let's see where else. At a warehouse. I can't even think of the name of that one. I lost a job working at training to be a manager of a hotel. I lost a job, just any job that I get, really. They will deprive me of sleep. They will harass me all night and day. They will cause me.
Okay, let me. I'm going to stop just a minute because I'm going to cover the topic of employment. Okay, so you lost quite a bit. Now, let me ask you something. What do you think your economic loss would be if you were to go to court to file for economic damages, economic loss? What would that be? How much money do you think you lost?
Oh gosh. Well, I do know that.
That's over 10 years. That's almost 10 years of lost jobs, wages and stuff.
Yeah, not to mention emotional damages.
Okay, what do you think you've lost?
Oh God. It's hard to even sit and think about the figures right now.
Oh, just give me a ballpark figure how much you lost in your profession, in your original profession that you wanted to do. What would your dream job that you held that you lost? How much you think you lost since then?
Okay, so if they had not sabotaged that job, so that was in 2018. So we're what? Over $300,000 at least.
$300,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So now, Rachel, I want to talk about your symptoms. Being a targeted individual, we know there's a weapon that's silent deployed against us, correct?
I don't really think it's a weapon, but some people do. I think we're made to think that. I think it's all done by the RFID, and I think, and this is my opinion, everyone has their own. This is what I'm gathering and what I think this is all about. It's all done by programs that they put on the implant.
Okay.
It's all done by frequency that they put on you. Then they can get your DNA and upload it to a piece of crap type of thing that they download from the dark web. And then when they do that, they can hack into your basically your bio.
Okay.
and do all kinds of damage.
Now, Rachel, what I want to note right now is that what are your symptoms? What are you experiencing? What are your symptoms that you're reporting every day?
Exhaustion, because I don't ever get a full night's sleep.
Exhausted?
I feel tired.
Okay, tired.
I'm having panic attacks now. I have severe panic. Now I make police reports for everything. When I was living in Decatur, I had an apartment, and my mom moved in with me to help me because I had to lean on her for financial support, which is a big blow to my self-esteem. So now I feel just emotional, my self-esteem, because, I wanted to work and be able to maintain my own life and be able to do things for my mom, not have her to support me as a grown woman.
Exactly.
And here I am having a son to raise, and also a goddaughter that I fostered when she was 3 years old. Me and my ex at the time had a home and took in a 3-year-old little girl. Now this is before I had the mind high, to my knowledge. Well, the little girl, she's a little black girl. Me and her mom become friends in grade school. Well, her mom, she wasn't making good decisions, so I stepped in and fostered her so she wouldn't go to the state. So I had her for about a year, and then her mom got herself together and moved in with her grandma and took the little girl back. Well, the little girl is 15 now. She has now been implanted also. And I remember her mom calling me when it happened. She said 2 women came with blonde hair and immediately said that she had been reported for smoking marijuana, and they needed to get her urine sample to test it to see, which means, and trust me, when I had such a huge conversation with her, I said, you don't ever give your urine to someone. She don't really have, I don't know if she was not thinking clearly, because now they have her DNA.
Okay, Rachel. What we're trying to do is, what I'm going to do, and I'm glad you told me that, because a lot of times targeted individuals are attacked for that reason. Okay. In the last couple of years, since 2018 or 2013, what have you experienced as far as being targeted? What are your major concerns? Have you been to the hospital? Have you left your home? Have you been in exile? Can you tell us about that, maybe?
Sure. So, I originally, when it all came about, I was in a long-term relationship, not with my son's dad. My son's dad's remarried, and we co-parent. Well, the guy that I was with, he and I ended things, and we did not buy the home. I ended up moving into a relative's townhouse for a good deal, and I think that maybe at some point she was implanted, because any kind of thing to attack me to make my life hard, they'll do. They implant and give my family and friends programs so that, if they want to help me because, they care about me and want to see me be okay, then they're like, no, we're not going to allow that. So then my cousin turns around and sells her townhouse just way out of the blue. And so when I went to visit a friend in Tennessee, I had all my stuff boxed up. I came back, I had stuff stolen out of my townhouse, because by this time, all of my furniture and everything had been moved out into storage. So I had to sleep on a friend's couch. Okay. And, then I lost my car. And then I finally managed to get an apartment. My dad passes away. So my mom moves in and she starts helping me. Well, then I start thinking, okay, maybe I need to apply for disability since I'm hearing these voices, which right now it's quiet. They're not saying anything. Because I have filed EEO complaints at Redstone against the whole situation. And I've filed complaints at the FBI office in Huntsville as well.
Okay, back to the FBI. How many complaints have you filed with the FBI?
Okay, so, oh gosh, about 7.
7 complaints with the FBI, and that's out of what office?
The Huntsville office on Whitesburg.
Okay, 7 complaints. 7 complaints. Did you make phone calls, or did you write it on the website, or did you write in?
Okay, now I went up there, and I've been up there 3 times and wrote out a written report. The other times, you can actually get on the internet and file a complaint. I've filed one on the internet and asked them if they would send it over to the cyber division, because basically I'm being it's cyber torture, cyber bullying really is what it is.
Okay. Now, have you filed with the CIA or with the DOJ, or have you written the President of the United States, anything like that?
No, I think, no, let me take that back. About 2 years ago, I was talking to Karen Milton Stewart a lot.
Know her very well.
And so she gave me this number to call. I called nonstop and placed complaints. That did not do any good. So then I reached out to the Alabama Senators, Doug Jones, Senate Doug Jones. Then the other one, the new one, I can't think of his name. Also reached out to the Alabama Attorney General. I've reached out to my local mayor, my local representative. I've reached out to a lot of people.
Okay, now let me ask you something. Did you get any responses back from those people, like letters or concerns, or were you invited back to their offices to show them evidence? Huh?
Never.
Okay.
No.
Okay, perfect. All right, now back to your symptoms. I want to. What have you been experiencing? What are your feet? What are you feeling on your flesh, on your body, your eyes, your head, your toe? From head to toe, what have you experienced as a targeted individual?
There's times my hands and feet will go completely numb.
Numb. Okay.
My whole left side was numb, and it's like I had to drag it. My eyes will uncontrollably move. I will feel. In the midst of all of the worst part of it, when I was living at my other place in Decatur, my son was about 10 at the time. I was on my kitchen floor holding my scalp, and my mom was like, I don't know what to do. She could tell I wasn't faking it. She could tell that it was something wrong. It felt like someone was putting out cigarettes all over my skull.
Okay.
Burning. I'm talking burning. It was induced.
Okay.
I have felt where they have uncontrollably moved my face. They have pricked me on my skin. I have felt my vagina pulsate and move. I have felt, and while that's happening, they're saying perverted things to me all at the same time.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I have been told that no one's ever going to listen, that I'm stupid, they don't like me, I'm an in lover, because my son's half black, his dad's a black police officer. But they have gave his dad so many programs that he just now thinks he won't even listen to him. My son, his dad and I expected him growing up that he would be, without a question, he would be going to college, because all through my son's school years, he was gifted. I mean, he excelled. then when all this started happening and he started seeing his mom going downhill, where I was once thriving, working, happy, your kids can sense the change.
Sure.
Then here I am losing my car, losing my home. He has to go stay with his dad. I'm then staying on a friend's couch. My bank account, I'll have money get in there, then they'll just completely wipe it out.
Okay, I want to ask you a question now. As far as the economic, we'll go back to economic loss. If you had money in your bank and you're being targeted, what would you do with money in your bank as a targeted individual? What would you do? What would be your instinct if you know you were going to die, if you know you're being threatened by this weapon? What would you do? What would your instinct be if you had this money in your account?
Well, I guess because you don't know what's going to happen, so you basically live day by day.
What do you mean day by day? Tell me about what would you do with the money?
I mean, I use it for food and medical, really.
Okay. And what would you buy?
Things that I need for my home.
I mean, you're severely threatened every day, and it got severe where you're almost to death. You have all this money in your account. What would happen to the money?
Well, now there's no money. I mean, they hacked my account and clear it.
Okay.
I have also filed a identity theft. And of course, I'm going back and forth to the Decatur Police Department. Now that I've moved back to Moulton, I actually have done the same thing. I talked to the DA and the judge, and used to, you would be able to just go and say, I want to get a restraining order on this person, and you could just file it. But now you have to pay for all of that.
Okay. So you're telling me that the money you've had in your account was used to file complaints as a targeted individual, spending money driving to these destinations, typing up documents, going to places. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you have an economic loss there. You lost some jobs. You have medical symptoms there. You've been targeted. You filed a court case. I mean, that gives us, enough evidence to certify, that you're a targeted individual and that you would qualify for benefits, basically, Have you applied for benefits or anything through state or federal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And they've been denied 3 times.
Wow. Okay. All right. Have you been diagnosed by doctors or psychiatrists?
When I went to my psychiatrist indicator, Dr. Gamble, who's now retired, I explained to him the situation about the implant. He told me, he says, I don't doubt anything you're saying to not be the truth. And he says, he can look at me and tell that I'm not a schizophrenic patient. And by the way I'm speaking, by the way, schizophrenic people have a certain type of mannerisms. They're very skittish.
Sure.
They don't really want people around normally. Different spectrums, I guess. But he just diagnosed me with bipolar number 2.
Okay.
Still was denied my Social Security.
Okay. Let me ask you something. When you went to the security to apply for benefits, did they have a hearing on this? Did they have a hearing?
Yes, and they did it over the phone due to COVID.
Okay. In the hearing, did you mention at all that you were being targeted by some weapon or being spied on or tracked or tortured?
I explained all of that, yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a judge present? There was some lawyer present?
There was a judge.
Was there a lawyer present?
Yes, it was all done by it was all done by like a conference call.
Okay. Do you have that transcript?
No, but I can certainly, it's not anything for me to go to the place to get all that information.
Okay.
Because I have moved.
Because
I did the same thing, and I would like to give you a copy of my transcript, and you take it down with you, and you tell them, I want my SSI today. I want it today. This is a federal issue. It's a federal court. I want my SSI today. And I will do that. I'll do that for you. Okay? I have a transcript. I'm going to sell it. I will probably mail it to you. Once we get off the phone here, I'll mail it to you. And you take it down with you and you say, I want my SSI. I want the same thing that he's got.
Okay.
Okay?
I will try to do that.
I'll
Sure.
give you a copy of my transcript and the hearing, and you will see that I've complained about this. Okay? And that you.
Let me ask you, do you think that it's useless for me to keep trying to push for this lawsuit when I have witnesses?
Well,
And
just
there's
hold
reports?
off. Wait to see what targeted justice does. Okay? You've done enough here as it is. You filed a lawsuit, claiming your status. You've contacted mayors. You've contacted the attorney general. I mean, you've done a lot of legwork for your complaint. Okay? Most TIs can't say this. They can't speak about this. Okay? But one thing's for certain. You've lost your job. You lost $300,000 in income. Okay? Mm-hmm. And one thing's for certain, that you should rate some kind of disability for this some point in some time. Okay? So I would wait to see what the outcome of Targeted Justice Inc. is, if they can pursue that case. And if they do, then I would file a lawsuit up in Alabama.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because we know that there is some leeway in some of the courts now. Mark Lindsay, I don't know if you're aware of Mark Lindsay.
No.
Mark Lindsay was an employer for the Department of the State. He was a contractor for the Department of the State. And he was targeted here in America and other places in the country. And he filed a lawsuit and he succeeded. They didn't want to go to trial. They settled out of court. And they paid him.
Well, that's nice. That's good. And it's good that other people can come forward to help to say, hey.
Yes.
Yeah, I would do that for someone too.
Okay.
So, I have no problem.
So let's play by ear on Targeted Justice and see what happens. Mm-hmm. They're in Houston right now. I don't know if you're aware of that. It went from Victoria, Texas to Houston, Texas. So wait for that to play out. And just, I would reapply for your SSI. But I would do you that a favor. I just requested my transcript of my records. As soon as I get that, I will forward that to you, and you can take it with you.
Well, I just applied for another job. I applied for a job at the Walmart here where I live. Mm-hmm. As a stocking and unloading the truck, mm-hmm. just so I can have some sort of income, because for some reason, the whole thing with them keeping me from working, that has really, really bothered my pride. And I pushed my pride aside and applied for disability, but it's not. But at the same time, I have to have an income, so I started cleaning houses. So that's kind of how I get some of my income. That, and I have to lean on my mom for financial support, which is not fair, because it's not like she's in a job where she's making.
Oh yeah,
she's having to. My brother that was 42 years old, he passed away last April, so we have that expense to pay. My father, he passed away about 2 years before that. So my mom, in the past 5 years, she lost her husband, lost her son. And we just lost a close friend that moved in and lived with us part-time. She just passed away about 3 weeks ago now.
Were they all targeted individuals, do you know?
I would not doubt if she did not have programs on an implant.
Okay.
Is what I call it. Which is yes. When you get programs on an implant without your consent, yes, that's a target. Okay. So yes, I would consider Veronica Young to be a target. Sure.
Okay. All right, Rachel. Listen. Let me ask you something. If I asked you if you could name some whistleblowers, what people would you name?
Jerome Miller White, Barbara Bailey, and William Compton. and Tom Potts.
And who were they?
Jerome Miller White is a co-worker that assisted the man that implanted me. Barbara Bailey is a co-worker that was in the Coastal Corporation building and saw the whole thing take place. William Compton was also in the Coastal Corporation building in Huntsville that addressed Ronnie Gray in front of the whole building, or in front of the whole room that was in the building. And Tom Potts is a man that was a manager of NASA's Enterprise Service Desk that removed a program that this man put on me and the program, the name is called The Walking Dead. It's been documented, and Tom Potts gets his NASA boss involved on a conference call. Those are the witnesses.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now,
You're so very welcome.
Yeah. Now, I've noticed. Do you have any websites out there, or are you any YouTube channels that we can look at?
The only YouTube channel that I made in the beginning was when all this started taking place, and I heard something about Myron May. I watched his video and I cried for about 2 hours on my couch.
Yeah.
Because I contemplated suicide. Almost committed suicide the night of my son's graduation when he graduated high school.
Yeah.
I even got my friend's gun. I took it out I was at my friend's house in Decatur, Alabama. I stole his gun. I put it in my car, and I went out and I was going to go and blow my brains out.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that.
Because I was being provoked so bad and being so mistreated. Basically, these people, they want to provoke people to commit suicide.
Yes.
And it's to keep a war down. It's to keep them beat down. It's to keep them to feel hopeless. Well, during this time, I started going to church, and I was baptized at the church I was going to. I even told my small church. They do like groups at church where they can divide people up. It was about 12 women, all women in our group. Every one of them I told, they all believed me, and they all prayed for me. And so all that happened back in 2019. So it's just constantly nonstop. You know, I've had the home break-in. I thought at one time, because they were hacking my account and stealing, I thought, well, what I'll do is just get my money and hide it somewhere in my home. Well, they managed to come in and steal $3,000 that I had put up, which is all the money that I have to my name, because, well, I've lost money because of this. Lost jobs. Then it's like, there's no nest egg, there's no money, there's nothing. And the $3,000 was my income tax refund check that I had put aside because I wanted to buy another car because I had lost my car.
Okay.
You know, and I needed a car.
Okay.
So then I was fortunate to meet this man named Michael Williams, who I cleaned his house. I met him, so I cleaned his house. He had this Ford Crown Victoria that he said that he would be willing to give me, but I would have to fix it. So I ended up getting this car, which was such a huge blessing. I had it fixed, and so I do have transportation now. Thank God for that.
Okay.
So I've had small blessings along the way, thank God.
Okay.
So now it's like, you know, I want to work, and it's just not fair that I have to claim a mental illness. You know, I've had black ops helicopters to fly over me and hover real low to intimidate and scare me. I've had people to be just completely hateful. When I was living in my apartment in Decatur, where I just moved from back in May, the people that bought them out, I think, are involved. My brother passed away. 2 weeks later, they was throwing my crap out on the street. Not from non-payment, because my mom was paying the rent every month. And this was the third. I lived there for four years. there were 2 previous owners before them who considered me to be a great tenant. So this lady that worked at the property management group was a complete, utter bitch. I mean, a bitch that just an awful human. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, the inhumane and the way she talked down to me and saying that they needed to renovate my apartment. But I was the only one that had to move. I was singled out. No one else had to move but me.
Okay. Rachel, I'm going to end this here. I want to thank you for your time. You've been helpful. I first noticed you back in about 2011, 2012, 2013. I think that's when I first noticed you on Facebook. On YouTube. I saw the video that you made, and you declared Myron May as a targeted individual. That was tragic. He's a district attorney who committed suicide. That's basically what he was.
I went and printed out pictures of him. I was basically his. I did this about, 2 years ago. I went to Staples Office Supply and printed several copies so many different times, and went all over Decatur and taped his picture on every fire station, wow, at the police department, at some of the busiest gas stations I could find. I passed him out to people. I also went to churches and taped his picture on church doors because I want to be his voice, because he no longer has one.
Yeah.
And hearing about his story also, it breaks my heart because he was, from the way he spoke, he was articulate. And it's like there's no sense in anybody being so inhumane and so mean to good people on this planet that want to work and make a living for themselves,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to end this conversation, Rachel. I want to thank you very much. This conversation will be posted on YouTube, on my channel, and I'll get you a link to that. Meanwhile, just if you want, you can give me, you can text me your email, your mailing address, and I can forward that copy to you, so you can have that with you, like I promised.
That sounds good. Thank you. I'll do that.
All right. Well, thanks again, Rachel. Thank you very much. Keep in touch. You can follow me. I'm always posting stuff because I'm in.
I did also do a Twitter video journal because I thought I was going to die. And on Twitter, on those videos, I was crying because that's where I was having the excruciating pains. I would be asleep and then I would get jolted and then I would say, "Wake up, you effing stupid bee." I mean, cussing me left and right.
Ouch. Ouch. Yeah. Yeah, that does happen to a lot of us. I mean, I don't know if you know what's his name? Brian too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out there too. He's out for a good cause, but I respect everybody. Rachel, thank you again. Like I said, if you can just text me your mailing address, I'll get that to you as soon as I can, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Have a blessed
Thank
day.
you, Rachel.
Thank you for talking.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so Rachel Benfield is she knows what's going on today, okay? This is Rachel Benfield. I'm going to close out this conversation. We talked about Myron May, okay? We talked about Myron May. This is Myron May. That's Myron May. And he wrote, he's a district attorney who committed suicide. He was a district attorney in Mexico, okay? There is an intellectual scholar who wrote a book about him, Renee Pittman. She's very intellectual on the targeting industry, a very intellectual person. She's very professional, a good writer, and took him under his wing to write a book about him, okay? The book is called, there's his book right there, okay? A District Attorney, okay? The Targeting of Myron May, Florida State Shooter, okay? Assistant DA pushed over the edge, okay? I can't stress it enough, okay? We're being attacked with a silent weapon that's been declared on us for a long time now, okay? So I'm going to end this conversation. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I hope it's educational. And God bless America. Thank you.